Welcome to the video lectures on analog electronics. Myself, Dr. Shoumik Poddar, Assistant Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology, Kolkata. The course code is EE303, contact is 3 and credit is also 3. Today we shall discuss the part 1 of module 2. Before going to detailed discussion of module 2, let us introduce the lesson plan of this module. The topics to be discussed in the module 2 is transistor biasing and stability. In transistor biasing and stability, the student will learn about biasing technique, Q point and its stability, self-bias, common emitter abbreviated as CE configuration, bias compensation techniques, each parameter model of transistors, expression of voltage gain, current gain, input and output impedance, power gain, and finally the emitter follower circuit. The total instruction hour of this module is 4. The course outcome related with this module is CO2, that is, after studying this module, the student will be able to analyze the transistor amplifier circuits. To understand properly this module, the prerequisites are fundamentals on Kirchhoff's voltage, current law, Thevenin's theorem, differential equation, BJT fundamentals, and finally matrix. In part 1, we shall discuss the biasing technique, the Q point and its stability, self-bias, common emitter configuration, bias compensation techniques. So first, let us discuss the biasing. Biasing is very important to design an amplifier which essentially utilizes a BJT or MOSFET. Now we know particularly BJT, when acts as an amplifier, it must be operated in the active region. So the BJT should be designed in such a way that it will set at an operating point on the active region. Now the operating point is to be settled or to be fixed by some engineering techniques. The engineering techniques are to provide DC voltage and currents through some external sources. Therefore, the external circuit arrangement which will provide the DC voltage and DC current for settling an operating point onto the active region of a BJT is called biasing. In active region, transistor acts as a linear device. And in linear device, the output current is directly proportional to the input voltage, which is represented as I0 equals to GM V in, where I0 is the output current, V in is the input voltage, and Gn is called transconductance. From this relation, we can easily state that a BJT is a transconductance amplifier. Therefore, the biasing is very essential, crucial and important to design a amplifier circuit so that we can get a faithful an exact replica of input to the output signal. Because if we are not performing a perfect biasing, then what will happen? Although the amplification will be processed, but the output signal will not be an exact replica of the input signal. There may be distortion, that is change in shape and the frequency of the output signal. So therefore, in order to have the faithful amplification, biasing should be done properly. And biasing is made by providing DC voltage and current through the proper external circuit arrangement. Now, if you look into the right hand side of the slide, this is a common emitter configuration. See here, all the electrical quantities are represented in the capital letters. So that means these quantities are static quantities, or it is called the DC current and the DC voltages. VBB, this forward biases the base emitter junction, whereas the VCC reverse biases the collector base junction. This VCC provides the reverse biases at the collector base junction through this VCE voltage. The VC is called the collector to emitter voltage, and it is commonly known as the output voltage of the transistor in a common emitter configuration, where VBE is called the input voltage of the transistor in common emitter configuration. The output current is collector current IC, and the input current is known as I suffix B. IE is going to ground, and emitter is common for both base and collector. That's why it is called common emitter configuration. Now, if we are applying the Kirchhoff's voltage law, the KVL, to the output loop, that is the collector to emitter, it is equals to VCC minus ICRC minus of VC equals to 0, or it can be written as VCC equals to VCE plus ICRC. So IC can be written as VCC by RC minus VCE by RC. So if you are carefully looking into the equation, we shall see that the IC is proportional to VCE, but with a negative sign, because VCC and RC both are fixed quantity, they are constant, so it becomes a constant value. But VCE will be dependent on the IC from the above equation. So IC versus VC graph will be just a straight line with negative slope. The slope value will be equals to minus 1 by RC, and VCC by RC is the intercept. So we will introduce this graphical representation in this present slide, that IC versus VCE is a straight line having negative slope. The straight line intersect y-axis and the x-axis as 2 points IC set and VC cutoff. IC set means here at that point the VCE value is 0. So if you are placing the VC equals to 0 in this expression, so this term will vanish. So IC become VCC by RC. So this particular value of IC is called IC set. Similarly, in x-axis at the VC cutoff point, you will see that no IC is existing. So if we put the IC equals to 0, then VC becomes VCC. So this particular value of VC is called VC cutoff, means the transistor will be totally switched off. Now, this graphical representation is also observed in the output characteristics, where we have got a family of curves depending on the different values of IC and the VCE. Now, the straight line when intersect with the family of output characteristic curves, it will generate several intersection points which are commonly known as operating point. So these are called the operating points, means at that point the transistor will act as an amplifier. And these operating point base position is the middle of the DC of the straight line because the faithful amplification will be achieved. Now the straight line is also called the DC load line because all the electrical quantities are of static value, so it is called DC. Load means output, and we have seen that this IC and the VCE, these are the output current and voltage respectively. So therefore, this load line is called the load line. So DC load line is a graphical representation of the relation between IC and VCE. The operating point on the DC load line where the input signal is absent is called Q point. So the Q point is such an operating point where the input signal will be absent. Q stands for quiescent, means calm and quiet, means no excitation is present. So AC means excitation because it is fluctuating in nature. So in absence of AC, it becomes a calm or the quiet point. So biasing is a technique to fix up this Q point irrespective of temperature, transistor variation so that a faithful amplification is achieved. We shall discuss what are the effects of temperature and the transistor variation onto the Q point in the next slide, in the later slides. Next, these are the different types of the biasing techniques: fixed bias, emitter bias, voltage divider bias, and collector to feedback bias. These type of biasing techniques we have learned in our basic electronics engineering. Today, we shall discuss only the voltage divider bias because it is the mostly essential and mostly common used in the electronic circuits. Now, before going to detailed discussion of the voltage divider bias, let us introduce the stability factors. We know the collector current equation is equals to beta IB plus 1 plus beta IC naught. Most cases we are neglecting this IC naught terms because IC naught is very small, in order of nanoampere for silicon based transistor. But in analysis of the Q point and the biasing, this IC naught cannot be neglected. It is very, very crucial and important for proper design of the biasing circuit. We shall discuss later. Now, from this mathematical expression, we can state that the IC equals to function of IC naught, beta, and VBE. Why I have written VBE? But because in the above expression, there is no such term of VBE. Because transistor input voltage, transistor input is a PN junction diode. So unless the VB will cross the barrier voltage, it will not conduct any current. So VB is the primary parameter onto which the IB is dependent. So IC equals to function of IC naught, beta, and VBE. Now, due to these three different parameters, there are three stability factors. The first one is equals to del IC by del IC naught. Second one is S prime equals to del IC by del VBE, and S double prime is a del IC by del beta. Why we have used a partial differentiation? Because as IC is dependent on the three different parameters, so to determine the dependence of IC on a single parameter, the other two parameters should be kept constant, and therefore the change can be represented with the partial differentiation. Now the first one is very crucial and highly dangerous, because IC naught, as already mentioned in the above expression, IC naught doubles per 10 degrees centigrade rise in temperature. IC naught is the reverse saturation current in the transistor flowing from collector to the base. So therefore IC naught doubles at per 10 degrees centigrade rise in temperature. So if IC naught will become increased due to the heating effect of transistor, it will be multiplied by this 1 plus beta terms, which essentially enhance the IC value. So the Q point, which is a representation of the VCQ and ICQ, as the IC will be increased, automatically the Q point will be shifted towards the saturation. So the BJT will not act as a proper amplifier. That's why the stability factor should be minimized, and the minimum value should be 1. Therefore, the biasing circuit which will provide such a minimum value of stability factor is a highly prioritized biasing circuit. In case of S prime, it is depending on the VBE, where the VBE decreases by 2.5 millivolt per degree centigrade rise in temperature. So therefore, if VBE will be decreased for the heating effect of the transistor, it will eventually decrease the IB. And when the IB will be decreased, naturally the IC will be decreased. So what will happen? The Q point will moving towards the cutoff point. Again, there is a problem in faithful amplification. And the last parameter S double prime is equals to depending on the transistor variation, because beta is a parameter which signifies the fabrication of the transistor. So depending on the transistor variation, the same circuit can produce the different types of result in amplification. So the designers should be very careful about the selection of the transistor. Now we shall discuss the voltage divider bias. In this biasing circuit, first we will see it is a complete common emitter amplifier utilizing the voltage divider bias. The VI and V0 are the input signal and as well as the output signal respectively. The C1 and C2, these are the coupling capacitors to couple the input signal to the base of the transistor, where the C2 will couple the output signal from the collector to the load. They are also called the blocking capacitor because it will block the DC signal present in the AC signal if it is mixed with the AC signal. Now the R1, R2, RC, RE, this resistive network actually develops the biasing circuit. And due to this special circuit arrangement of R1 and R2, this is called the voltage divider bias. Because in electrical engineering, you had studied that R1, R2, this specific arrangement provides the voltage divider circuit. So this type of biasing is called the voltage divider bias. So the DC analysis, you will see that there is no capacitors present. So it is a purely voltage divider. It is a purely DC circuit. Now, as we have learned that using the bias circuit, we can determine the DC current and voltage. So determination of the Q point. First step is determination of the ETH. So ETH means the Thevenin voltage. So we will derive the input Thevenin voltage at the base emitter junction. So how can we design? First VCC, then R1 and R2 is the junction which is going to the base, and R2 is connected to the ground, and RE is connected to the emitter with the ground. As the base to emitter is connected, is parallel to the R2 resistance. Therefore, the voltage appeared across this R2 resistance definitely provides a forward bias voltage, and it will inspire the VBE to forward bias the base emitter junction. So the VR2 is eventually the Thevenin voltage. So ETH is the Thevenin voltage equals to VR2, and due to this voltage divider theorem, we can deduce it is equals to VCC into R2 by R1 plus of R2. Next step to determination of the RTH. For Thevenin resistance, what is the procedure? For Thevenin resistance, any voltage source present must be short circuit and the current source should be open circuit. So as a voltage source is present, we must short circuit the voltage source. So thus the network looks like this. So the Thevenin resistance will be the parallel combination of R1 and R2. It is called the RTH. Next step is step 3, determination of IB. As we have already studied that IB current is the input current, so for derivation of the IB, we must apply the KVL at the input loop. Input loop means this loop, base to emitter. Always remember, input loop is base and emitter loop. So it is a VTH and the Thevenin resistance is in series with the voltage, because you know the equivalent Thevenin circuit of Thevenin voltage with which Thevenin resistance is connected in series. So the VR2 is connected with the series of a R1 parallel R2 and is going to the base. Therefore, the KVL equation equals to ETH minus IB RTH minus VBE minus IE RE. Now I equals to beta plus 1 into IB. So therefore IB equals to ETH minus VBE divided by RTH plus within bracket beta plus 1 into RE. Now step 4, determination of IC. IC equals to beta into IB. And the final step, that is determination of VC. VC is the output voltage, so we must apply the KVL at the output loop. It is equals to VCC minus ICRC minus IERE minus VC equals to 0. So VC equals to VCC minus IC into RC plus of RE. So after calculation of IC, you just put the value of IC here, and thus we can deduce the value of the VCE. Therefore, the Q point location is being determined, identified. And in this case, this RE resistance provides a vital role to stabilize the Q point. That's why RE resistance is called the unbypassed resistor, and it will provide the self bias. We will discuss. First of all, if we go back to our previous slides, here we will see that this equation ETH minus IB RTH minus VBE minus IERE. Now, this IERE is a potential drop. It has a negative sign with the ETH. That means there is a conflict between ETH and the IERE, where if the ETH will send a high amount of current, then the developed potential drop will further oppose the increment of the current, because there is a constant collision of these two voltage. Therefore, this IE, it is a output portion. So this IERE will provide some feedback to the input, because ETH is the input. So this IERE provide the feedback to the input that, okay, you are sending much more current, you do not need to send, I am opposing this current. So this type of signal it will send. So thus it will provide a negative feedback to the input side of the BJT. So the BJT will try to control its base current. That's why this emitter current will provide the negative feedback to stabilize the Q point, and there is no other external technique to control the Q point location. Rather, this negative feedback automatically, as already discussed, this negative feedback automatically control the Q point location. That's why this circuit is called the self bias. And it is also called unbypassed, means any current flowing through the transistor will not process to any other path. It has to pass through this resistor, and automatically it will develop the voltage drop which opposes or which provides the negative feedback. So this resistor is called the unbypassed, means there is no bypassing path of any signal. We will discuss more detail about this functionability of this resistance, and due to the presence of resistance, what is the effect on the gain of the amplifier, the input impedance, etc. in our feedback amplifier section, the module 3. But however, we have just keep in mind that this RE resistance basically provides a self bias. Next, stabilization is a very important. Stabilization is equals to, means how the Q point will be stabilized. IB is equals to, now the voltage divider bias, as already discussed, IB equals to ETH minus VB minus IC RC, because most of the case this IC equals to RE, IE, and RC is nearly equals to the RE voltage, RE resistance. So IB equals to ETH minus VB minus IC RC by RTH plus of RE. Now this IC will be manipulated like this expression, and from this S equals, we know S equals to del of IC by del IC naught. So if you take the differentiation, we will get this type of expression. And most importantly, if we see that this 1 plus beta, there are two types of 1 plus beta. One is the numerator section, another is in the denominator section. Now, but there is a hindrance. What is a hindrance? Hindrance is the RT by RE. So, in the proper design of the voltage divider bias, the RE value will be somehow greater than the RT, that is a Thevenin resistance. The emitter resistance must be higher than the Thevenin resistance. So when it is higher, then automatically we can, if RT will be higher than the RT, then this term will be much lower, and beta we know 50 to 200. So 1 plus beta will be much higher than this term, so we can easily neglect this term. Similarly, for the upper numerator also, the RT by RE will be very much fractional value, so it will be considered as smaller than the 1. So ultimately, the S will be 1 plus beta by 1 plus beta, so it will be equals to 1. That means the minimum value. That's why the voltage divider bias is called the highly prioritized biasing network. The S prime is represented like this expression, whereas the S double prime will be like this. But most important is the this stabilizing factor. Now we shall discuss the bias compensation. Actually, what happens, although we are introducing the RE to self-bias the circuit, but still we cannot neglect we cannot fully overcome the temperature effect. The temperature effect is very, very important, and it is very crucial, because when the transistor is working, IC current will flow, and it will produce the IC square RC loss. Look here, when the IC current will flow through the device, the IC square RC loss will be generated, which will further enhance the power dissipation. The circuit will be heated up. So in that case, when current when the transistor will be heated up, then obviously the IC naught will be enhanced, the VB will be decreased, like that. So some extra circuit arrangement will be needed to minimize or to compensate this temperature effect. So those circuit is called the bias compensation circuit. Before going to the detailed analysis of the bias compensation, let us look into the variation of IC naught, beta and VB with respect to temperature. At minus 65 degrees centigrade, the IC naught was set at 0.2 into 10 to the minus 3 nanoampere for a silicon transistor, whereas its beta was 20 and VB is 0.85 volt. But when the temperature has been increased to minus 65 to plus 25, it will be very surprising that IC naught was increased to 0.1 nanoampere. Beta was somehow increased to 50, whereas the VB was decreased by 0.65. In case of, again, we further increased the temperature to 100 degrees centigrade, IC naught was devastatingly increased to 20 nanoampere and beta was increased 80, VB was further reduced by a drastic amount 0.48. And when the temperature was reached at 175 degrees centigrade, the IC naught was increased so intense that it is really very need to worry, because IC naught was then 3.3 into 10 to the power 3 nanoampere, means it is in order of microampere. It cannot be so neglected casually. And beta was 120 and VB was reduced to 0.3 volt. So we have to control very much this IC naught and the VBE. So what we have to do? First, let us look into the two types of circuit. One is diode based compensation circuit, another one is the thermistor based compensation circuit. The first circuit, we have seen that at the emitter there is a diode is connected. The diode is initially forward biased by this VDD volt. Now what is the essence of diode? We know that when the diode is forward biased, it has a cutting voltage after which the current was very much increased. Now we also know the base emitter junction of a NPN transistor is also a PN junction diode, but this diode is also forward biased by this ETH. Now, if we are applying the KVL, the equation will be ETH minus IV into RTH minus VBE, because the potential will be plus and minus. So minus VBE minus IERE, because it is plus and minus, current is flowing through this direction, minus IERE. But as a diode is in opposite direction, means negative first and then positive, so obviously it is a negative battery. So negative battery means it will be like this, plus VD. Okay. Now in this case, the transistor and the diode will be of the same material. That means if the VB is of 0.6 volt, the VD should be 0.6 volt. So the minus 0.6 and this plus 0.6 will cancel each other. Therefore, although the temperature will be increased, the change in the VB will be neutralized by the change in the diode cutting voltage. So what will happen? If the temperature will increase and the VB will be decreased in such fashion The same fashion will be obtained by using the diode also, but the polarity of the diode VD will be equal to will be the opposite to the VB. Therefore, this 0.85 will be neutralized by minus 0.85. This 0.65 will be neutralized by minus 0.65 and so on. Before going to analysis this circuit, let us first introduce this one. In this circuit, we have seen there is the diode connected, but the diode is not connected to the emitter, rather to the base. What will happen? And the diode is also reverse biased because the P inside is connected to the positive polarity. So what will happen when the diode is, when the transistor is switched on and the temperature will increase, the diode gets reverse bias, so it will conduct the reverse saturation current IC0. As we know, when the diode is reverse bias, the only current is reverse saturation current, that is IS. In this case, it is IC0 because collector base junction is also a diode. So diode will snatches IC0. The direction of the current will be looks like this. So IC0 going to the ground. So instead of IC0 admits with the IB, it will just directly bypassing through the diode to the ground. Therefore, no effect, so minimum effect of IC0 will be appeared at the IC. So thus the Q point will be somehow stabilized. In case of thermistor base, what is thermistor? Thermistor is a thermal resistor, means it is a semiconducting material. When the temperature is increased, it will show less resistance. So when it will offer less resistance, what will happen? The R1 value will be very much low. So when the R1 value will be very much low, therefore the total Thevenin resistance, which is equals to R1 parallel R2, which is equals to R1 parallel R2, it will be obviously lowered down, and therefore the drop due to this IB into R1 R2 will be lowered down. So the IB current will be means if somehow due to the temperature effect there is an increment of the IC, due to this lowering down, the IB current will be decreased. Now finally we will discuss one numerical on the voltage divider bias. We will see that different parameters value have been given. The beta is 100. Now we have to determine the VCE, that is this voltage, IC, that is the collector current, VC means collector to ground, VB is the base to ground. So the first step is to determine the Thevenin resistance equals to R1 parallel R2, that is 39 parallel 3.9, it becomes 3.55 kilo ohm. Then Thevenin voltage, which is equals to R2 VCC by R1 plus R2, and putting down the values, we will get 2 volt of the ETH. After ETH calculation, we just write down the KVL equation, and this is the expression of the IB. You just remember, first you will write down the equation, place the I equals to 1 plus beta into IB, then formulate this IB expression. Now putting down the values of individual parameters, and we will get IB value will be 8.38 microampere. And as IB will be 8.38 microampere, then our step is to calculate IC equals to beta into IB. Beta is 100, so it becomes 0.84 milliampere. After IC calculation, we will just put down the IC value in the KVL equation of the output loop, and the VC corresponding value has been obtained of 12.34 volt. Thus, the Q point location is being identified 12.34 volt, 0.84 milliampere. And the VC, that is the collector to ground, not collector to emitter. VC means collector to ground. It is equals to VCC minus ICRC. So thus it becomes 22 minus 8.4, 13.6, where 22 is the VCC value, 8.4 is the IC into RC. and VB, base voltage, VB, it is equals to base to ground, it is equals to ETH, because ETH is nothing but this voltage, it is also equals to VB. So thus it becomes a 2 volt. So that's all. Thank you for listening my lecture.